When I am asked what I do, I say I am an artist. My medium is fiber, and I make art quilts. And then I get a blank stare. Art quilts, you say? What is that? Well, that is what I'd like to shed light on here tonight, along with sharing my art. What comes to mind when you think of a quilt? A bed cover? A patchwork quilt? An old-fashioned quilting bee? Historically, making quilts were always considered women's work. They were prized for their beauty and always considered functional first. Quilt makers mostly relied on patterns that were passed on and shared and passed on. The Depression and World War II changed women's lives. Women went back to the workforce, so traditional quilt making underwent a decline. The turbulent 60s brought about a crafts revival, and many feminist artists like Miriam Shapiro began incorporating fabric and beads into their paintings. The controversy of art versus craft began to rage. One of the primary leaders of quilt making in the 60s was feminist artist and author Jean Ray Lowry. She encouraged all quilt makers to apply art principles to their work. Lowry said it's not a matter of material, but rather what the artist brings to the material. In 1971, a groundbreaking exhibition of Amish quilts was held at the Whitney Museum, showcasing the concept that quilts could be displayed as abstract art. As stated in the catalog, no two are ever alike. Each reflects the sensibilities and visual skills of its maker. Amish quilts have long been celebrated for their bold colors and bold designs. The diamond in the square is one of the most popular and well-known. Quilting now enjoyed a newfound popularity, and communities of quilters grew by leaps and bounds. When I was a young mother, I discovered quilts, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. I was excited when I realized I could combine my passion for color, graphic design, and sewing. This is my version of Diamond in the Square. I won first place for it in my first juried show, and I was hooked. The 80s saw an explosion of new creativity in quilts that combined the principles of art, design, and composition with the elements and structure of a quilt. The art quilt was born. The term art quilt was coined in 1984 for a traveling exhibit. At this time, I was inspired by groundbreaking artists Nancy Crow and Michael James. Both artists changed their medium to fiber and redefined quilts, mastering geometry, color, and abstract design. In 1979, Nancy helped organize Quilt National, the most prestigious venue to showcase art quilts. Another influential artist was Susan Rienzo. She collaborated with her artist husband and defines her work as outsider art. She made spontaneous, ongoing journal quilts of the everyday lives and adventures, along with making environmental and political statements. Quilt artist Yvonne Porcella of California, known for her colorful and whimsical art, and my muse, became a visionary force in the founding of the nonprofit organization Studio Art Quilt Associates. Known as SAQA, their mission is to promote the art quilt through education, exhibitions, and professional development. As a juried artist member of SAQA, I was delighted to have two of my abstract art quilts shown here, accepted for an exhibit that's now on tour in Europe, with a published catalog, top left, available. In my abstract series, I am exploring saturated color interactions, texture, and whimsy to create a visual energy. Each year, SAQA publishes a portfolio catalog of their juried artist members. This is given to designers, architects, and patrons of the arts. I am very pleased to be in the latest Portfolio 20. And you can find me on the web at susanrienzodesigns.com. Over the years, the quilt has been my creative form of expression. My head was bursting with ideas, as you see here in my self-portrait called Hold That Thought. It was selected as the signature piece for an exhibit on women and creativity in 2002 at the South Carolina State Museum. Here are 3 quilts in my Sun series. After moving to Florida from New York, my color palette exploded, and my themes became inspired by the colors of the tropics. I have fun adding whimsical prints that add an element of surprise. It makes me smile as I work and hopefully engages the viewer too. Here's a view of my studio. I work on the wall so I can visually see how my work is progressing, much as a painter uses an easel. I often work intuitively, cutting as I go and letting ideas develop improvisationally. When the design is ready, I put the 3 layers of the quilt together and stitch. Here you can see some of my stash. This is my fabric palette. I keep lots of colorful items around for inspiration. I often work on more than one piece. My studio is now exploding. And next is 3 examples of my whimsical floral designs. On the left is Morning Dreams, that's sold at an art exhibit. The top right I call Window Bouquet and is available at Florida Craftsman Gallery in St. Petersburg. On the bottom right is Flower Power that has been framed and was recently on exhibit. Here's a sampling of books on the art quilt. I am proud to be in 500 art quilts. The art quilt is the focus of many talented and diverse artists who are still pushing the boundaries of what a quilt is. Many different surface design techniques are being used, as well as new technologies. I am happy to share with you now my very first showing of my newest work I call Sunshine State of Mind. And that is what I am still in after all these years. Artist Vera Newman said it best for me, color sings to me. Color just brings a little bit of joy into our lives. So see a fiber art exhibit and enjoy.